Hey Flosstube, I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you my absolute favorite cross-stitch magazine ever. Not my favorite magazine so much as my favorite issue. I am in love with Just Cross Stitch, the June 1994 issue. I don't think I have a cross-stitch magazine in my stash that has so many things in it that I absolutely have to stitch. And what got me thinking about sharing this, I think it is Cross Stitch Gold that on the cover lists how many hours of stitching there are in the issue. I love the idea. But does anyone buy a cross stitch magazine with the intention of stitching everything between its pages? And how do they figure how long it would take to stitch that? I mean, I know they can calculate the number of stitches, especially now that everything's all computerized, but then there is back stitching and confetti stitching, and I would just love to know how that works and if their numbers are accurate for anyone, and if anyone does want to stitch a whole magazine. I almost want to stitch this whole magazine, and some little crazy niggly part of my brain goes, you could time yourself, you could see how many hours are in here. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. So I'm going to flip through and show you what in here I love so much. Covering up the pattern, there's some fruit. It's pretty fruit. It's not my favoriteest thing ever, but it's on black, and lately I want to stitch everything that is on black. This one is called In a Garden. She is on my must-stitch list because she is gorgeous. So much confetti stitching, so much green. I don't care because she is gorgeous. And you may have seen in some of my other videos, I've got a little bit of a dollhouse obsession. And the little bit of a dollhouse obsession has led to a cross-stitch dollhouse obsession. Look at this one. I love the girl, I love the dress, I love her braid, I love the dollhouse. This is on my to stitch soon. The stuff in here that I want to stitch too, it's big. This is Hobby Samplers, and there are 5 projects in this magazine that I cannot see myself stitching, and these are 2 of them. Actually, there are 5 that I cannot see myself stitching, 8 must stitch, and 6 I would probably stitch, which is amazing for one issue of one magazine. This one is called Piano Lessons, and I like it a lot. It also ties in with an old family story, which makes me like it even more. And I think that's why I picked up this magazine, because I picked it up before the Dollhouse Obsession's most recent uprising. What would you call that? Here's some little scissor fobs. These are on my mites. If I was going to stitch everything in the magazine, I wouldn't object to stitching with those lists. It's Tally-Ho. It's, I think, a fox hunting sampler. Doesn't float my boat, but I don't hate it. I could really like the Dandelion sampler. If I was going to stitch a magazine, I would not mind that one at all. Lots of specialty stitches. And the goldfinch, I'm kind of, There's nothing wrong with it. It's pretty. The Kitchen Trio. So what's everybody going to do with these bags now that they made to hold their plastic shopping bags, now that plastic shopping bags are evil and awful and the devil? It's a little embroidered bib. You know, you could, if I was crazy enough to stitch all of this, I could stitch that and donate it. I'm not making up my mind that I want to do this or do not want to do this. I'm just kind of entertaining the idea. And these are tiny. They're going to be hard to see, I'm afraid, but look at the sewing notions. Just look at those. And then look at this hoop with the hands and the hoop and the stitching, and those are all 4 of them on my I must stitch this now list. I don't need a bike on a towel, but I could do something with a bike, maybe. Kind of like the idea a little bit. And I think, yep, that is everything in this magazine, but I like just cross stitch. I like it a lot. But usually there are 2, maybe 3 projects in a magazine that I love. I have never found an issue with 8 projects I am dying to stitch and 6 more projects that I would like to stitch. And again, if you were going to stitch all the projects in a magazine, then you would only need like 1 magazine every how many years? How do you buy magazines? What's your criteria? I need at least, well, I'm buying them at the thrift store for a dime, so the fact that it says cross stitch on the cover meets my criteria. But if I'm buying a brand new one, there have to be a couple things I want to stitch, and these days I'm kind of down to the Halloween and ornament issues from Just Cross Stitch. I'm really not buying magazines like I used to. Back when I used to, it was like 2 or 3 things that I would want to stitch, and honestly that balances out with the cost of buying a pattern, I think. I would love to pick up more Cross Stitch Gold and what's the other one? Can't think of it right now. Love those. Don't quite have the budget for it today, but love those. What's your magazine buying strategy? Do you like magazines at all? Or do you stick with individual patterns from designers you love? I'm curious. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I am Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I still have not sorted through that whole big stack of cross-stitch magazines I brought home last week. Maybe there are other issues hiding in there that are just as good as this one. Wouldn't that be great? I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.